How can I overcome trauma and finally improve my mental health? Probably, all of us have asked this question at least once in our entire lives. In this video, I'll give you 3 uncommon answers that you probably have never heard before, based on my personal experience with overcoming my trauma. Without further delay, let's talk about the first way, understanding what trauma really is. Trauma is like a wound in our minds. It can heal and become a scar, but it will never go away until you directly deal with it. Without even realizing, your behavior in the present is subconsciously affected by all of the trauma that you experience in your entire life. Let me give you a real life example that happened to me and plenty of people around the world. My parents were amazing during the day. They would play with me, give me attention, give me love, everything. But during the night, they were no longer like that. Every time my father got drunk, he became a completely different person. I couldn't even recognize him from the way his eyes looked. He would always become an awful person during the night, which was the complete opposite from his sober times during the day, where he was a great father. I received inconsistent love during my childhood, and I thought that was what love was supposed to be and feel like. So, in my teen years, I pursued friends who mocked me, were aggressive to me, and didn't even like me. And I was always losing interest when my ex-girlfriends would start giving me consistent love. When we were children, we felt that our parents were supposed to love us unconditionally, and that everything they did to us was love, both because of biological factors and because of society's ideals. Therefore, when they punish us because we ate too much candy, we think it's love. If they slap us because we had bad grades, we think that's what love is supposed to be. Everything that our parents do to us when we are children will stay in your minds forever as love, regardless of what it is. Especially if they were constantly switching up between treating us nicely and then abusing us. Thus, we will crave that type of inconsistent love as if it was the only way of loving someone. And that's why many men beat their wives or their children, because they got beaten as a child, so they think that's what love is supposed to be and feel like. That is the underlying mechanism for all childhood trauma caused by your parents and loved ones. That type is called repetitive trauma because it isn't a one-time thing. It consists of several episodes of a high-stress environment in a place that is supposed to be safe, like your home. For every other type of trauma, like if you were held hostage, got beaten up in your school, experienced a natural disaster, got bitten by a dog, or any type of trauma that is related to fear, that is different. It is called a one-time trauma, and it consists of just one traumatic episode. Those types of trauma will give you a lot of fear and anxiety. Since your mind will never forget that event, it will always try to prepare itself for the possibility of happening once again, leading to all of the problems related to anxiety. And now, let's talk about the second way to overcome trauma and to improve your mental health. Most of our trauma comes from the story we tell ourselves about the problem, not the problem itself. Let me repeat. Most of our trauma comes from the story we tell ourselves about the problem, not the problem itself. Likewise, most of our pain doesn't come because of the thing itself, but from our mind's negativity that we add on top. The rain itself isn't that bad, but your thoughts about the rain are the ones that harm your mind. For example, imagine you are walking and suddenly it starts to rain. And then you think, for fuck's sake, rain, again, amazing, great, only if I had brought an umbrella, only bad things happen to me, and now look at it, rain, the cherry on top of the shit cake that my life is. This last thought is something that happens often to a lot of people. One small thing goes wrong in their life, and they start making a giant snowball of problems and complaints. The thing itself, the rain, isn't that bad, but the negative thoughts that you add, that worsens everything. And this is the core idea of a great book called The Mind Keeps Score. That's why some people experience awful traumatic things in their life. And because they never registered the event as traumatic, nor ever complain about it, they just continue living their lives as if nothing happened. They accepted the event as something that had to happen, as something that made them stronger. Did the internal scar heal completely? No, but it healed a big portion of the damage. So, this advice is significant. So, you need to rewrite your trauma as something different. I don't care that it's cope, I don't care that it's stupid or wishy-washy. I don't care that is not the truth. Do it regardless. Coping isn't a bad thing if it will improve your life and help you heal the trauma that can potentially worsen your well-being for your entire life if not treated. So, now I'll give you the actionable step. Write down the story of the trauma in a way that you aren't the victim. It should be on paper, as your mind will be making more of an effort to write. Therefore, you'll get more focus. But I prefer that you do it digitally, on your computer or on your phone, than not doing it at all. Rewrite the story, not in a self-deprecating way. Write it without self-pity. Write it like you are the hero of the story, and manipulate your memories to make it seem less humiliating and painful. Stop giving yourself the same old story for you to victimize yourself. Create an actual story where you are the one who ends up winning, regardless of how stupid that may be. For example, I can look at my childhood, self-deprecating myself, and thinking that I was a poor little harmless, cute kid who was abused, suffered, and was mistreated. All of that, so people have empathy for me, and so they have some pity. But what do I get from that? Nothing. Instead, I can look at it with pride. Look at it in the way that I was a small little warrior in a house where I had to protect my mother from my father. Even though those were hard periods, I would rarely cry, and I stayed strong from the beginning to the end. I developed strong traits during that period, and I became mentally strong because of that. I can even manipulate my memories so that it doesn't seem that bad after all. I can look at the good times I had with my dad and my mother, all of the times that they played with me, or when my dad taught me how to ride a bicycle, instead of looking at my childhood like I was a victim. Thinking like that benefits me way more, and it even gives me more confidence. Another thing you can do is look at the abuser's point of view. Think of the hard life that your abuser probably has lived. The struggle, everything. Think how he might have done all of those bad things to you because he simply didn't know any better, or because someone did the same thing to him. I know that you might be thinking that your abuser doesn't deserve empathy, but being angry at him doesn't benefit you in any way, shape or form. And everybody in the world deserves empathy, even your abuser. Acceptance will heal you. Revenge will rotten you from the inside out. Trust me, hate is a poison that is slowly taking your vital force away. Let me show you a real example. My father drank a lot and abused us because his father did the same thing to him, or even worse. So, as I've mentioned before, getting drunk and abusing his family members was the way that my father experienced paternal love in a fucked up way. That was the way that my father thought parenting was, even if he didn't realize it. The tough love that he received from his parents made him give the same tough love to me. And if I think about it, if I experience all of the work problems that my dad experienced, working on a physical job that made his shoulder hurt every single day, if I got the teeth pain that he got, if I had a failing marriage, if I had been beaten up by my dad like he was, then I would probably need to drink a lot to deal with all of those problems anyway. And if I didn't know what I know now, I would probably make the same mistakes as he made in his parenting. And the logic that I use right here improved my traumas a lot. It made me sympathize with my father, and it gave me a sense of forgiveness. It made my anger vanish, alongside my need to take revenge on my father. You can also use the same logic to rewrite your traumas. Forgiveness is the best path to healing yourself. So, just to summarize things, engage in active writing about your trauma stories to change your memories and make you think back and see yourself as a warrior instead of a victim. Put yourself in the abuser's shoes and try to have empathy for them. Maybe they were just doing their best, or maybe they were being completely disgusting human beings because someone did the same thing to them, or even worse. And now, the third and final way to overcome your trauma and improve your mental health is be grateful for your traumas. I know what you're thinking. Be grateful for the worst thing that has ever happened in my entire life. Are you fucking crazy? Yes, I'm crazy. If you want to heal your trauma, you need to be an open-minded crazy person, just like me. Think. Since the day you experienced the trauma, you have hated every single memory and moment related to that event. You have always looked back and thought of it with disgust, pain, regret, and self-pity. How is that turning out for you? Really, how is that turning out? Bad, right? Because there isn't a single benefit in doing it. Not only that, but it has disadvantages. If you want to heal your trauma, you need to try new things, right? Remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you want to have results that you never had, you need to be willing to do something you never did. Let me repeat. If you want to have results that you never had, you need to be willing to do something you never did in any area of life. Therefore, hear me out. Actional step. Grab a pen and paper or open some notepad in your computer or iPhone and write 3 things that you are grateful for in that trauma every single day for your entire life. It's easy and effective. Just shut the fuck up and write. Let me tell you why this is so effective. There are 2 types of thoughts, manual thoughts and automatic thoughts. Manual thoughts are the ones which you put in your brain every time you think with clear intentions, every time you think manually, like when you are planning what you are going to eat in the afternoon, or when you are writing something down. Every time you listen to a YouTube video, like this one, or you watch some kind of content, you are letting the content creator introduce manual thoughts into your brain, which could be a bad thing or a good thing, depending on the content you consume. Automatic thoughts are the ones that you don't even register, or you do them subconsciously, like intrusive negative thoughts that come to your mind from time to time. But if you manually put positive and grateful thoughts in your brain through gratitude journaling, that is, writing things which you are grateful for, you will force yourself to start thinking of life with a positive vibe, and you'll catch yourself showing gratitude for the smallest things around your day, like the blue of the sky or the birds eating seeds. And after a while, your automatic thoughts will be positive instead of negative. You'll stop having those thoughts like, I shouldn't even bother approaching that girl. She probably thinks I'm a goofy ass looking motherfucker. Or, I bet no one in this friend group even likes me. If you show gratitude for the bad things in your life, then you will rewire your brain to start seeing the good in the evil. Because without one, the other can't exist. Without pain, it cannot exist pleasure. Without sadness, happiness will be boring. You'll start to look at your trauma as a positive experience because, after all, it has some benefits. Let me give you some examples that I journal almost every day about the benefits of my traumas. I'm grateful that my father was an alcoholic. It made me understand the dangers of alcohol, and thanks to that, I will never drink in my entire life. I'm grateful that I got bullied in school by that gypsy. It made me a stronger person. and it taught me that I need to defend myself. I'm grateful that my father always criticized me. It made me do everything to improve myself and made me a person that can take criticism. I'm grateful that my dad always forced me to study. Thanks to him, I have amazing grades. I know that it's hard to reflect on past trauma. If you are someone like me, then you like to try and fake that nothing ever happened and just live on with your life without telling anyone. And honestly, I kind of think that not telling anyone trauma is a good rule to follow. I'm only telling you mine because in some weird way it will help you more than harm you. When you tell other people your trauma, you tend to victimize yourself and portray yourself in a way that makes them pity you. And I guess you already know that those are bad things. Instead of telling people your trauma, tell it in your journal, write it down, and reflect on it alone while drinking hot chocolate in the comfort of your bed. Will it be hard? Yes, but as Theodore Roosevelt used to say, nothing worth having comes easy. If you want to heal yourself from trauma, you'll need to fight it head on. And now, the final quote of the day. Challenges are what makes life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. Quote by Joshua J. As I'm a small YouTuber, you won't ever see my videos again if you don't subscribe. So, choose wisely. Either way, I hope I'll help you in any way. Go ahead and leave a comment about video topics that you would like me to talk about next. Like the video and go ahead and watch this one as well. Goodbye. See you in the next one.